You take it into a relationship, and over time, this will lead to burnout, it'll lead to resentment, it will lead to you being passive aggressive and holding so many complaints about him because good girls don't raise their voice and say anything. Hello, my love, I am back. And I want to know, are you tired of attracting men that leave you feeling unseen, exhausted, and unfulfilled? The answer might actually lie in something that I know so many 40-something women struggle to really break free of. And that's what I call good girl programming. Your people-pleasing tendencies that maybe you have been playing life at from for the longest time. And now it's showing up in your dating life. And I just want to share with you that people-pleasing isn't just about being nice. It's actually trying to create safety, and it's something that we do from a very early age, especially as women, to create a survival mechanism. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the reasons why it is so important for you to break free of this way of being, especially in your dating life. And I'm going to share with you some key ways to get started. Why do women people please? Well, firstly, it's developed by a past experience. Maybe that was in your childhood, or you had a really painful breakup and then all you wanted to do was to undo all the things that you assume you did wrong. So you become this overgiver, this overlover, this do everything for him and be everything for him. And essentially what it is if we're wronged or shamed for who we are or something that we've done, so as I shared, this can really show up really early on in childhood if we are told like, no, you shouldn't do that. That's not what good girls do. Good girls do fill in the blank. You know, most of the time, immediately, the mind will go to nice girls, act nice, they're polite, they're well-spoken, they look nice, they get good grades, they are kind, they are always saying thank you, they're always saying please, they're always apologetic. You can already start to see like where like if you've lived life being told that you have to be a good girl, you have to be nice, to be loved, to be appreciated, to be wanted, to be approved of, to be accepted. And the minute someone says that you've done something wrong, well, it can really create so much tension in the system. It can shatter you, it can shock you, it can scare you. And the way the body receives that is we've done something wrong, we're in danger, we need to undo that, and we need to create a new way of being in order to not feel that again. And this is where people pleasing is almost like wearing a mask. So it's like having this identity of constantly searching and hypervisualizing is what we call in nervous system work, is looking for the ways in which to help people, the ways in which to overgive to people, the ways to be overly nice to people, the ways to overextend ourselves, where so many women say yes to everything, in order to have that person not think the thing that you still hold as the thing that you want to avoid, that thing that happened in your childhood or the thing that happened in your last relationship when your partner called you a crazy bitch and then all of a sudden you assumed like,
oh my god, that's true.
And because you put this person as like on a pedestal almost, or a high value, or as someone you love and respect, he's calling you a crazy bitch now. So you associate crazy bitch with being wrong, being bad, with it's naughty, it's shameful, and you're going to be outcasted and no man's ever going to want to be in a relationship with you again or love you again. So you create this identity of like, well, I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to be the good girl. I'm going to do everything right, because you don't want that experience again for someone to speak to you like that, or someone that you love to think of you in that way. You can already start to see like it's like wearing this mask, because behind that it's okay to be a bad, crazy bitch sometimes, because there's something in what happened that doesn't feel good for you, and the good girl wants to just zoop, not say anything about it. The bad bitch inside of you is like, no, I wasn't okay with that. Now, of course, there's different ways in which we can be a bad bitch. We can be really aggressive and rageful, which obviously is just pent up resentment and anger over time. But we can also just be in our bad bitch and be like,
no, I wasn't okay with that.
So there's a different texture to how we play out the things that we have been told are wrong and bad. I just want to say that this mask, you absolutely get to take it off, because in your dating life, being a good girl, you're gonna attract the type of man that you don't want. You're more than likely going to attract a man that doesn't care about your needs, possibly a guy that really likes lots of attention, having things done for him, constantly being the center of attention. Or equally, you can attract men that simply just are not interested in you, want to know more about you, want to support you, just take advantage of you. So just really start to notice how going out into the dating world with this mask on, first of all, you're not truly being you. So you're going to attract someone who you're attracting from the identity of the good girl that you're putting out there. So that's already not authentic. That's already misalignment. That's already going to have you attracting men from your fakeness, essentially. So that's the first thing. Second of all, how exhausting and how much time are you going to spend going through relationship, or date after date after date, being the good girl with this programming, with this identity, and eventually you're just going to be put off dating altogether. Or you'll just keep trying to prove yourself and push. And the more you do it, the more you attract that which you don't want. You're going to be left thinking that there's something wrong with you. It essentially brings you right back to that first wound, the one that you're trying so hard to avoid by having this identity. So in relationships and dating, it can leave you exhausted, like I said. So then you're exhausted, then you don't show up as your full self, you just don't bother dating anymore, you go into an avoidance style. It's destructive. So you can bump up against some arguments, you can bump up against some real conflict that necessarily it won't be resolved in a harmonious way, because you're attracting someone who's insecure because you're wearing the mask of insecurity, which essentially is the perfectionism and the good girl programming. So it can really just cause some real funky dynamics. And over time, if you by any chance lend this and leave it into a relationship, so let's say you attract from your good girl programming, so straight out the gate, you're giving him everything and you're getting breadcrumbs back, but you're like, he loves me, he accepts me, he approves me. You take it into a relationship, and over time, this will lead to burnout, it'll lead to resentment, it will lead to you being passive aggressive, and possibly under the undercurrent of that, holding so many complaints about him, because good girls don't raise their voice and say anything. Good girls don't speak the truth. Good girls don't ask for what they want. Good girls don't ask for what they need. So over time, it's like, oh, he doesn't love me, he doesn't care about me. And then it comes back to the original thing of like,
I'm not good enough. He doesn't want me. He doesn't love me.
Then maybe you start to create a mistrust or a lack of trust with him. So you can already start to see how this cycle, because you're wearing this identity of not truly fully being you, can play out. I want to give you some pointers. Number one, my love, recognize that your needs matter. And then attached to this is just get to know what your needs even are. That is so important. We all say like, oh, I know what I need, but do you? Genuinely do you? So like, for example, for me, one of the things that I really need, especially in dating, especially with men, is space. Because my mind can go from 0 to 100 sometimes. So it's really important that because I know that, and I am confident at communicating, hey, my mind can sometimes go 0 to 100. I'm gonna need a little bit of space so that I can just bring everything back to myself and my truth. So that is a real need of mine. Another thing for me is my love language is physical touch. Communicating that need out is so important, because if I attract a man who doesn't know that, and I'm a good girl that doesn't want to actually say, oh, I really like to be touched. If he's not honoring me with the love language, then I'm going to start to get resentful. I'm going to start to create stories of oh my God, he doesn't, offer me any physical touch or words of affirmation. Then I'm going to start hating him, resenting him. and possibly overgiving to him, maybe, so that he actually gives me the thing that I say that I want, even though I've not actually told him. Recognizing your needs, so important. Number 2 is start taking small steps to A, honor your own needs. So for example, for me, when I realized that physical touch was a thing of mine, I actually started honoring that for myself first, because that's what my body actually wants, and it's not necessarily to have it received from another person, though it is that as well. But first and foremost, my body just likes to have physical touch. So start giving yourself your own needs, and as I shared, start asking for them as well. I know that can be really edgy, especially if you're knee deep in the Good Girl programming, because good girls don't ask for what they want, their needs don't matter. But this is the time for you that you actually start dismantling that Good Girl programming. Number 3, date with intention. Start being choosy. Start selecting a guy based on your intention of wanting to date. What is it that you want to date? Do you want to date for fun? Do you want to date for romance? Do you want to date for learning about yourself? Do you want to date for a long-term vision, a long-term partnership? And of course, it can be a combination of those things, but really go with the intention of like, for the sake of what? And just a slight caveat to this, if it's to avoid being lonely and being in fear of being single, then that you get to work on that whole belief system, because you don't want to take that need into a relationship. Back to the piece where I'm sharing like be selective and be choosy. So important, because you get to discern who and what is for you. And this is the part where I like to really see and choose and select a man based on his words and also his actions, seeing that them two are congruent and they match together. So they're my 3 get started pointers to dismantle the Good Girl programming. There's a lot more to it. I'm going to share more of that in future videos, so hit subscribe if you want to catch those. And I hope something in this video landed for you. Please like, share, comment if you've got any questions.